The Wavelengths present a conversation with everyday people doing extraordinary things, making the world a better place. Meet Becca Steinbach, Joy Weaver. She is the owner of Inner Nature Soul Sanctuary, a mesa carrier, an intuitive healer and coach, a ceremonialist, and a space holder. We hope you enjoy our conversation with Becca.
Hi, I'm Jante.
Hello, I'm Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And we are the Wavelengths.
Well, today we're very, very excited to share the story and information about someone that I've known, almost a year, I think now.
I think so.
And experienced her first through a cacao ceremony, which I'd never experienced before. So today we have Becca Steinbach, a joy weaver. Now, Becca is an owner of a place called Inner Nature Soul Sanctuary. She is a mesa carrier, an intuitive healer and coach, a ceremonialist, and a space holder. So we're going to ask her to share her story as well as explain what all this is. So Becca, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a joy. And first, how did you get to doing this work? When did did it start when you were a little girl and you had some kind of connections? How did you get to where you are today?
Whew. Animals are my connector. And I grew up very connected, though I turned it off at a very early age.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my memories from my childhood aren't necessarily here intact. I had a lot of big energy, big feelings, and learned that in order to be safe in this world, I needed to turn it all off.
Yeah.
And animals were always my ally. So I grew up being the girl that was pretending to be a lion, and then followed by I was a great dog, had a perfect bark. And just was really able to connect with the animals. They were my saving grace. I understood them more than I understood humans. And they just helped me get through. I didn't realize or understand all that I was carrying when I came into this earth and all of the agreements that I made. And so throughout my childhood, really, I learned to turn everything off. And then I learned that to be accepted in this world, that was a big old story of mine, not being liked, not being accepted, that I had to put on mask after mask. I had to recreate a version of me that people would like and want to be around and love. Even my family, opening with me being a lion for so long, that was one of the hugest jokes between my family, but not in an endearing way. It was in a diminishing way without them realizing that was what was occurring. And I was very ashamed and embarrassed of those things. So I had changed myself to be someone who was accepted. I squashed down many of the things that brought me joy, and I followed the path of what's expected. Graduated college, had a bunch of friends, excelled in sports, went to college and just looked for a career, but I knew I didn't like the education system. I wasn't I wasn't in alignment with that. I felt that I was going to be having my own business. And when I was in college, I thought that was all about dogs. So I had started off my career as a dog behaviorist. And I didn't even realize at that time that that was planting the seeds to what I was doing, what I'm doing now. I always felt such a connection with animals, dogs especially, and I started to learn how to work with dogs in a way that we could fix behavior issues, but not necessarily need to resort to obedience training. And I learned how to do that without saying sit, stay, or come, or give you a treat. And it turns out I was talking to people about their energy before I really could fathom what that truly meant. And I was already helping people learn to embody a more confident energy, learn how to shift things that if anger was coming up, that they're not taking it out on their dog, but they're able to recenter themselves and start to shift the way that they embody energy so that their dog looks to them as, hey, you are my leader. I am in this relationship with you where I don't need to take care of you. And it was so fascinating. I just loved that. I thought that was my career. I thought that was the business that I would be building. And so I graduated college with a Spanish degree. I just didn't like much with schooling, but I loved Spanish. I loved dogs, so I followed those two things, and started to spread my wings there. And I lived a great childhood. Yes, I put down a lot of things and just stopped being who I was, but I was very blessed. And that actually was something, a later pain that I carried with me, because I didn't understand why I felt all the things I felt when I had a good childhood. It was so confusing to me when I started to walk the healing path. So I ended up spreading my wings, and a little bit after graduating college, I moved down to Baltimore. And that was where my tower moment happened in a tarot reference. Everything started to turn upside down. I started to everything that I had been forcing myself to be, it was starting to catch up with me. And I was just spinning out of control. Feeling a lot of hopelessness, feeling chaotic. I, at that time, had a drinking problem, although I was in pure denial about it. I also accepted a job teaching Spanish, even though I knew I wanted to really deepen and have a successful career with helping with dogs, and put myself back in the school system instead. So things started to really turn upside down. I started reaching out to spirit, and it was back through the lens of religion. I grew up Catholic, and I started to just reach back out to God through Christianity. And I just was trying to connect and ask for signs, ask for help, ask for all this weight that I was feeling to just be off my shoulders. And eventually there were things that were happening. I started to receive some signs. I had some clairaudience moments that just lit me up, and it was like, oh my gosh, what is this? That was not me. And experienced for the first time hands-on healing for a friend that really needed it in the moment. And she just kind of coached me through how to pray over someone and let source flow through me. And that was such a pivotal moment. And not long after, I had the massive point of the tower where everything really crumbled. So I had a little bit of an awakening. Oh my gosh, there's more to life. There is this hope. I can work through whatever I'm feeling. And then come later that year, a few months later, I accepted another year of teaching, even though I knew I hated it. So I was already mad at myself for not following what I wanted to do and where my heart was leading me and playing it safe. And so I went back to teaching that first week. I completed it with every night at happy hour. And then that weekend, my house got broken into, my car stolen. And I lived in Baltimore, in row home at the time. So then having to tell my father about that was also a really terrible thing for me at the time. I lived to make sure that I made my dad proud. And so the next day, a friend says to me, hey, you've had a really rough go. It really helps when you play soccer. I know you don't want to come to this game, but just come play. I said, okay. And I show up and I'm just carrying the ball down the field, gentle dribble. I make a small cut and then my right knee completely tears the ACL. So all of that happened in one weekend, but it ignited my healing, where I was very physically focused first. So it only made sense that I had to do that through my knee first. And I looked at myself finally and said, you have a problem with drinking. So this is going to stop. And you hate teaching. This is going to stop. There's more for you out here. And that really shifted things. And I've set my focus to healing my knee, and that opened the door to everything else. And so over the course of time, I left teaching once I completed that year. I fully healed my knee in a record time. It was very quick. I was back on running within 9 weeks of my surgery. And I'm free after this school year. And I just allowed, and I started to work on, okay, I'm going to build this business for dog behavior. And I also was exploring, though. The door had opened in consciousness, and similar to what I was feeling with dog behavior was that there was something missing. I was doing everything by the book as I had been taught, and yet my dog still had some aggression issues that I couldn't figure out. And I also felt like I was, following the lead with just opening back up to this Christian realm and feeling the presence of spirit. Yet I felt like something was missing. There was still more to expand into. And so I continued to allow and allow and allow. And I found animal Reiki, and that was a big turning point for me. So I started to, I got certified in Animal Reiki 1 and 2, and realized how much more there is to our beautiful animal consciousness. And many dogs, like my sweet baby, had trauma that needs to be cleared and healed. If you're going to fix behavior, there's more to it than just they're a dog and you just teach them you're in charge. And I stepped into adding that into my business, and I started to illuminate festivals and start to learn more about consciousness. I met a channeler who helped me connect with my guides. And all of this is starting to just expand and open. And I had met my now fiance that year as well. So we got together, and us coming together as well helped us open. We met a beautiful couple that also, he was a channeler, and he ended up becoming a beautiful guide for us as we started to deepen and learn more about the nature of reality. And we continued, and at a certain point, probably about 6 months later, my guides were starting to say to me, you know, more than just animals could use your help.
You think?
And I was like, you mean I need to do that with people? And they're like, yep. So slowly things started to shift where I began to open to that. And they had me begin to learn intuitively card readings and getting my own guidance to flow through me and not rely on another channeler outside of myself. And so a lot of shifts had happened over that year where it was a lot of expansion, opening, awakening. And come 2018 was when they said, okay, great. Now it's time to heal yourself. And that's where a lot of shifts happened. I went to an Awakening the Illuminated Heart weekend. It was a workshop weekend. And the first day I felt so expansive. I was like, yes, I am going to this is going to be perfect. I will be on the other side of this and healed. The first day was wonderful. The second day, everything started to come up. And by the end of it, I remember the teacher, saying to me, hey, did you have abuse in your background or anything? Because some of the ways that you're responding in this, at the end of this workshop, I feel like there's some deeply rooted stuff here that needs to be healed. And I just was so blank in front of her. Like, I don't think so. No. I mean, my mother, yeah, but no. And over time, it was really starting to look at my stuff and beginning to heal it one layer at a time, one layer at a time. And yes, I did come from abuse. My mother came from trauma, and the way that she dealt with it was she yelled at her children. And that wasn't out of malicious intent, but we learned that way. Then when I was in high school, I ended up being in an emotionally abusive relationship where my then boyfriend had blamed me for his severe drug use and addiction. And if he almost overdosed on heroin, it was my fault. So I would wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning, just wondering if he was alive and feeling like his life I was holding. It was on me. So it was, things like that where I was reliving. And when I finally did separate from him, my father actually said to me, this is very similar. The way what he's saying to you, I'm going to die if you break up with me. I can't live without you. He said, your grandmother went through the same exact thing. And wow. She didn't have the courage to follow through. She stayed with him. And he was a very abusive individual. So even at that point in time, I recognized back in college that I was making a different choice than what my grandmother did. And years later, I learned, oh, wow, I was rewriting things, ancestral trauma, and rewriting it. And so, and since 2018, it had been a significant chunk of time where I was looking at all of my layers, all of my stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, I carried a lot of guilt and shame almost of, why do I feel so broken when I did have a good childhood? My parents loved me. I had friends, it was, I hear so many, various trauma stories and people rising up from the ashes of those. And I'm like, but I don't understand. I have all of this pain. Where is it coming from though? And when I ended up going back to Reiki, I took Reiki 1 and 2 again, this time geared towards humans. And I remember laying on the table when we were exchanging, and this one woman she felt everything that I wasn't letting myself feel. And she had to leave the room because it was just so much old pain. And over time, you know, I finished Reiki 1 and 2. I went back and completed my Reiki master, and I just kept expanding. I kept walking the healing path. I was introduced by my original animal Reiki teacher to my now shamanic teacher. And so at a certain point, I became a mesa carrier, which is someone who holds the Andean shamanic traditions. There's many different shamanic cultures and traditions. And, you know, we learn to walk around the medicine wheel again and again, shedding those old stories, opening to the new. You know, we were dying to our old selves. So I was getting to know a lot of aspects of myself. I was getting to know various agreements I made to come in on this earth, one of which was I was to take everything of my mother's, all of her stuff, and just carry it. I also took some of my grandmother's stuff as I learned as well. It goes back. And I also, through my own personal journey, ended up connecting with a lot of various past lives. I call them parallel lives because time is now. And much of my deeper healing, once I got through a lot of those layers, was connecting with these lives, these aspects of myself in different time and space orientation, and healing some of those pains. So I started to realize that all of this energy that I was carrying, these pains, it was so much pain. I don't know how else to explain it, but when I would hit a certain old belief or an old pain, even if it wasn't from this life, once I let that come up, whew, it hurt. So I was connecting with all of these different lives that I had experienced, lives in Atlantis, in Lemuria, as a native indigenous person on this planet, even in the Victorian age, you know, various lives that would make themselves known to me. And they had stuff that just needed soul parts that needed to be brought back home. And so that was the bulk of my really deep healing journey. And all the while, you know, learning, going around the medicine wheel, I was introduced to the plant medicine of cacao, and I began to become a medicine carrier of her and step into holding space for others. So around 2020, 2021 is where I really started to step into holding space for other people. And I was pretty quiet about it for a while too, because it felt so important to me to make sure I got right with myself to the best of my ability and heal many of those aspects, those old soul parts, before I start doing that for another at such a deep level. And so here I am today. It's hard to sum up a story, I guess.
Well, you've created a beautiful organization.
Thank you.
You know, the Inner Nature Soul Sanctuary, which isn't just about all the work you do, but also creating a space for others as well. So why don't you tell us a little bit, because it's led to that. Your story has led to this.
Yes. So eventually, you know, I don't remember the exact year, but my Be More Behaved business transitioned to Inner Nature. And Our mission is to help you discover your inner nature and embody that inner nature. That's been the whole path that I've been learning, is discovering who I am behind all of those masks, all of those layers, the essence, and learning to be able to embody that. And so inner nature became at first just healing, Reiki, intuitive guidance, and it has expanded, shamanic healing, quantum light healing, and holding space, ceremony, cacao, meditation, events and workshops. And in April, we moved out to Carroll County, and now we're in this beautiful space where we have a little small consciousness shop for some sacred tools to help you along your path. We have a treatment room. We have some land. We have some trees you can connect with. It's beautiful here. And just especially after being in the, sorry.
That I can feel it. It sounds like a beautiful, expansive space.
It is, yes. Especially after being in the city.
Especially Baltimore.
Especially Baltimore. Baltimore has a lot of density. And so this space is us taking our next step into expanding our vision, which is co-creating a community of way showers where we are all walking each other home and co-creating that home while we're still in our physical bodies, that true home.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing people to come in and share their medicine. So it's not just all about what I'm sharing as being a healer in that role, or what my partner is sharing as well, but people in the community sharing their medicines, yoga, meditation. We have some divine feminine and divine masculine embodiment workshops, all sorts of things. It's just beginning to take root and start to expand out. So we're here to help you embody your inner nature.
So I would like to point out, before we go any further into everything that's going on at the physical place, that you all also work virtually.
Yes.
So just like in quantum physics, distance doesn't matter.
Exactly. In fact, my favorite remote session is the quantum light healing. It's a soul spark session. It's wonderful. I just did one today, and I love it. And we're connecting in with, your light body, and the healing is taking place outside of the physical realm and outside of time and space. And so the clearings, the purifications, the activations that can happen, boom, it can happen like that.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful in-depth session. I love it. And
well, since you brought it up, do you mind sharing what if there is such a thing, a typical session would be?
Sure. So I actually work with you quite a bit in these soul spark sessions. I'll check in with you a few days before, and I give you an analysis of your energy. So I'm looking for blocks. I'm checking out all your chakras, your out of body chakras too, the higher gateways, the lower gateways. And we're seeing, are these chakras open? If so, are they distorted? Are they balanced? What's happening there? Where is your frequency? Where are you coming in on that? Are there any tears in the etheric template, that outer layer of your energetic field? Are there any blocks hanging out in your field that are preventing you from embodying your inner nature? What's happening in your field? What's happening in your body? And then I'll send that over. And with that, Spirit recommends aspects of the session. We might work with Metatron's cube. We work with a lot with sacred geometry, with solfeggio frequencies, angel frequencies. And and crystals to help anchor in, with the quantum work. And so it might be a purification that happens. We might help you stabilize into the flower of life and let go of any inorganic blueprints or templates that we might be working with. We work with the DNA, help clear out the DNA, open and activate the DNA as well. And then I also go into skywalking and a circle of the 7 journeys. They're 2 distinct journeys, and a lot of beautiful healing can happen. So in the circle of the 7, we're working with the 7 sacred flames, and love those. That's just, it's beautiful. Sometimes, depending on where you're at in your journey, we might even be able to work with the 5 higher dimensional rays as well. But we all start out with connecting in with those first 7. And then the skywalking is also a journey. It incorporates a lot of shamanic journeying, and they unfold differently every time. We're connecting in with potential guides, or maybe healing an old aspect of self. I'm there in the journey to witness and hold space. And so all of this is happening while you're relaxing in your home, you're sleeping, maybe you're taking a nap, maybe you're just sipping your favorite tea or cacao, or having a light read, whatever is in alignment for you. And we don't need to leave the comfort of our own home to receive these powerful sessions, a lot of integration. And after that, they usually take, a good 2 or 3 hours to do these sessions. And then a couple.
So then after the 2 to 3 hour session, there's then a Zoom follow-up discussion about what came through.
I usually do phone call, but Zoom is possible. And so I'll talk to you after the healing session, and we'll just go over. I give you a whole write-up of what happened as well. Any answers to questions that you might have for your guides or your higher self. And so we talk about that after the session. And then in a few days from then, I check in on your energy and just see how you're integrating everything. It's a beautiful process.
It sounds it.
Yeah.
Very thorough as well.
Extremely thorough.
Yeah. So I presume that is connection to get something like that, or any of the other services you offer, would be on your website, right?
Yes.
Which is www.discoveryourinnernature.com.
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, folks, it's a beautiful website.
Thank you. Just revamped, all new.
I keep wanting to ask, what is your power animal? Is it the wolf behind you?
Actually, no, the wolf is more connected with my partner, Jeffrey. Although I do have a wolf guide.
Well, because there's a lot of harmony between you and that wolf.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting too. I've had a wolf guide, and I called him Black as Night because he is just dark, 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 shining black, and he has gorgeous golden eyes. And I connected with him in a journey not long ago, and I watched him shapeshift into a pure white wolf.
Wow.
And they were one and the same. And it was really beautiful. So I absolutely have a connection with the wolf. But my power animal is actually leopard and hummingbird.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Leopard, I don't know if you'd come across this, because when I was a little girl, and I also had lots of trauma, and I also held the ancestral line. I remember as a kid saying, the buck stops here.
Yes, it
Right?
stops with me.
But my spirit animal, and I didn't even know about spirit animals, was a black panther. And when I went, which is a leopard,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Just one whose rosettes are really dark
Yes.
in all that. But when I was getting my um, doing my work to become a mesa carrier, I learned that the panther or the leopard
Mhm.
is actually the power animal that helps children who have been traumatized, shall we say.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm,
So I just thought you might want to know that.
that's beautiful. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes. In the Andean cosmology, the jaguar, which I mean they're also interconnected.
Right.
The golden jaguar is Chokachinchay, and she knows all our relations, our children's children,
Mm-hmm.
and is that place of the heart. She is the archetypal force of our hearts. And so it just makes so much sense that she would be heralding the children, especially
Yeah.
those that have experienced deep trauma.
Yeah.
And the West is also the place where we do die to our old selves to
True.
be born anew.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful
So
shower.
not surprising to me that you have her. Also, as you know, because of the work I do, and I am as you know, a social worker, and I do trauma treatment.
Mhm.
It's just looking into your energy lines. It's like you have woven. It just reminds me of, I don't know why, but Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, except it's Becca. And there's so many gold fibers in this energy that you've woven. It's really exquisitely beautiful.
Thank you.
It is exquisitely beautiful. I can also feel it as texture,
Hmm.
energy, and it's very harmonious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you touched on a little bit on your vision and your mission.
Yes.
Could you go into more detail about that?
Definitely. Well, I like what I wrote so much. I'm gonna read it to you, and I'll expand on it. So it's funny because for a while, I had the vision and the mission, I guess, as codes, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to put it into words was not clicking for a long time. So now our mission is to inspire and awaken the truth of your divine inner nature. And we do that by helping you heal and nurture your body, mind, and spirit. So we help you love yourself into wholeness through earth and light-based practices that honor the highest good of all. And we joyously serve your becoming. And so all of our healing modalities, everything that we offer here, the tools that are in our consciousness shop, the classes, the group events, the community events, the open hours just to come and, enjoy your time in a hammock or just have a safe place to come be. All of that is to help inspire and awaken that divine inner nature within each and every one of us and help us take one step further and one step further and one step further into fully embodying our wholeness, that healed state. And so that's our mission, every way possible that we can do that. And our vision here is, we are envisioning a community of way showers and to weave that community together, co-creating the community, not only with each other, but with the divine. And, people that we are on that path of embodying our wholeness. We see ourselves in the future being in a larger space as far as land and really having a retreat center where people can come and work with the land, be with the land, heal with the land, and walk that new myth altogether.
Right.
Shifting paradigms.
Yes, shifting paradigms.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Thank
So, even though you've been in many ways showing how you and what you do are unique, what words would you use to describe what makes you and your work unique? A
you.
little challenge there since words.
It is a challenge, yes. Mm. Well, the phrase role energy of joy weaver comes in. That was something that came to me when I started to tune into what does my energy do? Like, what is one of the natural things that my energy just does? And that is remembering, not only remembering our inner child, but after we've healed our inner child, we can open to the divine child and create that, complete the Trinity within us.
Mhm.
And full of that wonder, that awe of life, the simplest things. And I have noticed that just presence, there is something my energy does to help weave joy a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And a lot of my coaching as well is something that, we're unraveling those old beliefs, we're unraveling the old pains, we're allowing them to come up, and we're healing them, though we're also opening to joy. And that's something I help people do. And so that would be one. Another, I'm not sure how to put it in succinct words, but I have noticed that something that sets me apart from a lot of businesses that I've looked at in these spiritual realms, I'm not here to try and retain you as a client, if that makes sense. I desire the highest and greatest best for every single person who walks in our door, every single person who feels aligned with receiving one of our offerings. And if that person is just meant to show up to a ceremony and that's it, perfect. If they're meant to work with me for a year as a returning client, beautiful. But once that time for the divergence happens, I desire that for my clients because I want my clients to flourish and grow and eventually, again, be their own way showers.
Exactly. I really resonate with that so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just absolutely. We of course.
It's so empowering.
Thank you. Yeah, I love connecting with clients. I love assisting, but I don't want to keep you longer than you're meant to be here.
And that truly is a gift. And I agree with you. That's a large part of what makes you specifically unique. It is a blessing to have someone who's like, I'm here, I have these skills, whoever's supposed to be facilitated by that, fantastic, for however long that is. It really is putting your ego aside and being present with the essence of who you are and touching whoever comes in to be touched.
Yes.
Very, very, dare I say, and yes, I do. It's the feminine aspect.
Yes.
In its most beautiful form, healthiest, balanced form. That's what the feminine that we're working here to balance is all about. So you're beautifully embodying that in your work. I'm looking forward to meeting your fiance, by the way.
He is wonderful.
I'm glad you think that.
Since I said yes.
Yeah, just But anyway, so one of our questions is often, who are your ideal clients? But the answer is obvious. It's whoever comes into your field and goes, oh yeah, I want to spend 5 seconds to 5 years with you. however it
Exactly.
plays out.
Yes, it's that I was speaking with my fiance about that recently, where I was like, my ideal client is any human who desires to do their work and embody their essence. And that could be someone as young as 17 or as old as 99 or beyond, you know? Uh,
It's
so
whoever's ready for that step.
exactly, whoever's ready and willing to do their work and become their own healer as well. I'm a way shower.
Yeah.
So
So speaking of the list, we kind of know the Mesa carrier. You've shared some of that stuff. It's kind of obvious you're an intuitive healer and coach, but is there anything that you haven't said that maybe would would maybe effectively, succinctly, your favorite word here right now, right? Succinctly express what an intuitive healer and coach as you embody it, what does that look like?
for me, it has been combining all of these beautiful practices that I have stepped into. So my coaching program is a soul retrieval coaching program. And so I have recognized for myself and for others that soul retrieval can take time. We need to prepare. Can't just call in a soul part and be like, hi, come on back. I'm not going to do anything different though.
Yeah.
So the coaching program has come all into preparing and integrating that soul retrieval, bringing back an aspect of our soul. And that combines, intuitive reading, channel guidance, the quantum light healing, Reiki, shamanic healing, as well as, we'll incorporate cacao and do some really deep ceremonial work as well. So majority of my coaching programs are in person, though they can be tailored to do remote work as well. And then for those that are not necessarily at a point that soul retrieval sounds great, but it's not time for me right now, I do have a deep dive program where we just work together with a variety of modalities and a little bit of intuitive guidance through the way it's meant to come through, and each week doing a certain kind of session.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you've mentioned cacao ceremony, and you do say you're a ceremonialist. So I guess that's one of them.
yes, that would be the primary. I love cacao. Oh my gosh, she is just a beautiful, beautiful plant spirit and has been pivotal in my journey. She works directly with the heart, and I had the hugest walls around my heart to protect myself. And she became one of my greatest allies throughout the process of going deeper and deeper into all the layers and caverns of my own heart to find those old traumas, lifetimes old, and heal them. And so part of our agreement is I'm to share her. And so I offer cacao ceremonies, and I just am the conduit. I'm the hollow bone for spirit and cacao to come through. And they're very connective, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experiences, a little different every time. I like to sync up the cacao ceremonies to the moon a lot of times. So we might do new moon cacao ceremonies or full moon, and we work with the energy of the moon at that time. So if it's the new moon, we might be casting intentions or doing more reflective work that's softer, quieter. If it's the full moon, we might be doing more yang kind of work, moving a little bit more, clearing, purifying, releasing, giving gratitude. So that's our primary ceremony that I work with. And, another thing I've learned that my energy does is hold space. And so ceremony was something that when I finally allowed the courage to step into leading others in this way, it was something that it flows for my energy. I love to hold space for people.
So what does that mean, holding space?
It's a great question.
It can be felt.
It is, yeah.
It's like when you're in your energy, it's just relaxing into the expanse of it and just feeling safe to express whatever may come up.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's, as a space holder, it's managing all of those energies. And
Right. And sometimes it's,
feel them.
is it that there are sometimes no words, it's just being?
Yes. And then depending on what the nature of the space is, is this a space that was anticipated for deep healing work? Then I have created that container energetically. And then all of the people who come to that, I'm energetically holding their energies. So if there's a deep pain coming up, I feel it too. I'm holding it. I'm holding them and allowing spirit to guide. Okay, what needs to be done in this moment? How can I hold space for this person? How can I show up for them so that they feel witnessed, safe, loved, whatever's needed? It also just it involves the little touches, the right smells, a comfortable place to sit, an extra blanket to feel that comfort. Knowing if it's cacao, knowing when someone has finished their cup and would like a splash more. There's, if we're in a sound healing during that time, it's knowing when, okay, gotta soften the sounds a little bit because it's a little bit too much for people in this point in time. Or, okay, there's a lot of energy that's coming up. There's a lot of old stories. Let's bring a selenite out and kind of do a little selenite clearing over people. It's just really being in tune with what's energetically happening and being able to support it all and help people feel safe.
So one of the reasons I asked is, of course, people listening to this may not understand what you mean.
Yes.
But I do, when you were talking about it, I had visuals. And so I want to share the visual I had to see if that feels like what you're doing.
Yeah.
So not only do you create a sacred space from your heart, which is an energy expansiveness that people literally, physically, or energetically, if they're doing it via, I want to say telehealth, but that's not really what you're doing, like a Zoom thing or whatever.
Yes.
So people, and there are many beings that come to be part of that.
Yes.
That are global beings, meaning they work with all of us, as well as individual or group beings. So sometimes you have several people there who are kind of like, have some commonalities that they're working through, and there are group energy forms that work with all of them. But we also have our own individual that work directly with us. So that's kind of like setting the stage. But when you were talking about placeholder and being in tuned, it was like out of your spine came these beautiful energy waves like angel wings. So out of the back, like it's a second layer that wraps around everyone.
Yes.
To serve. And to be mom, if you will, the perfect mom.
Yes.
So does that sound like energetically what you're doing?
It does. Beautiful visual. Thank you.
Yeah, words are my things.
That's great. Mine are on occasion.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
that's,
after a lot of sit with it.
and there's actually also energy fields coming out from your third eye and your crown chakra. So there's two more. So it's heart, that third eye, crown. They all have different purposes. And then, of course, the angel wings for tuning in.
Mhm.
So I'm just, for those who are listening, I'm not saying she's an angel, although she is an angel, but just that's an energetic thing that you have, because you have done your work.
Yes, still
And
doing
tuned
it
in
and
with
have
your-
done it
yeah.
deeply.
Yeah. Well, that's part of being here, right?
Exactly. You get to a point
So,
eventually where what comes up can be more easily managed and navigated, and it becomes easier to, as I say, bring it to the fire. You know, what needs to be transmuted, give it to the fire. So it becomes less consuming than when one is deep in the shadow work.
yeah. And I just want to throw out there, shadow work is part of, would you say, part of waking up all of us and loving all of us?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're actually getting up close to the 1 hour mark, believe it or not.
Excellent. Wow.
You
Oh,
have
it went like
been
that.
absolutely fascinating. So this is a moment for you to add anything else that you'd like our listeners to know. It's also a moment for any questions that haven't been asked yet, or, you know, we kind of let spirit move through us to what
Mhm.
questions need to come up, if any,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So is there anything else?
Hmm. No, I'm not feeling too much else at this point in time, unless there are specific questions that anybody has.
I don't have any specific questions at this point in time, other than just to say that I've really enjoyed holding the space with you.
Thank you. I have enjoyed it as well.
I have very much enjoyed it as well, and have really enjoyed your story and you explaining what you do. It's really been inspirational.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Well, let us again go over your contact info. So you have your website.
Yes.
I'm going to let you say it in your energy voice.
Yes. So our website is www.discoveryourinnernature.com. And you can find all the information about the Soul Sanctuary there too, and the schedule of events. And you can reach me directly at becca@discoveryourinnernature.com. And we did return to the Facebooks, so you can find us on Facebook. I left Facebook for 2 grand years and I loved it. So they actually never deleted my original Facebook page, and now it has no owner. So you can find our new Facebook page at Inner Nature's Soul Sanctuary. We look brand new because we are brand new back to Facebook.
Right, right.
And yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for agreeing to be an inspiration for our listeners. And it has been just an honor to have you on our podcast. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting me and connecting us all together and doing the work that you are doing to share these beautiful inspirations.
All right.
We hope you have enjoyed our conversation with Becca Steinbach. You can reach Becca at her website, www.discoveryourinnernature.com, at her email, becca@discoveryourinnernature.com. Becca is spelled Becca. And on Facebook at Inner Nature's Soul Sanctuary. Please take a moment to visualize our planet Earth bathed in white light. Everything within, on, and surrounding the planet filled with this white light. And all energies in whatever form moving into and staying balanced for the highest good of all concerned.